Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
Good evening to one and all.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Treasure Talk.
It's
How you doing, Jeff?
Tonight, I tell you, for sure.
Yeah, we've got treasure hunting royalty family in the house tonight.
Oh yeah. All around.
Yes,
all
for sure.
around.
Yes.
It's going to be an exciting show. I tell you what, Phil. I think the last three shows of this year are going to be barn burners. I think we do a good show every week, but
Yes,
I think these are just absolute barn burners.
Yes, we have the best guests, and just hopefully we'll be spreading some knowledge for sure.
Heck yeah.
And I did want to point this out to the folks behind me. There's the Garrett Vortex. They're in very limited and short supply, and we got 2 in, 1 sold. So if you're looking for a Vortex, we've got it in the shop here. Stop in and take a look at it. And let me see some other announcements I have. I had some folks ask me for a shorter bag, not a rifle style bag. And this is the Naka bag, as you can see. And Naka, I think, was first to come out with a shortened size bag.
And Naka is first in a lot of aspects.
Yes. So they came out with that first. And this is actually a Manticore, because I had some customers ask me, hey, will that bag fit a Manticore? Yes, it will. So all of those, the Score, Double Score, Legend, Manticore, all the detectors that compress down will fit in that bag. So that's an excellent product, and I think it's rated around $25, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a lightweight bag to keep your detecting your gear in.
Well, even if you had another bag for your detector, even if you didn't need a bag, you can get that bag and you can put, the coveted towel, your headphones, all kinds of good stuff in there.
Your scoop, your hand diggers, your pinpointer, and keep it all together, not rolling around the back of your truck.
I lost my coveted towel. I can't have that.
Well, I guess I better get started because we got excellent guests here. So as always, folks, today's show is brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors, where we sell fun and adventure. And of course, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk guest and member belong solely to the guest and member, and not necessarily to Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, or Jeff Monin. And yes, that's the coveted towel. And folks like that. Yeah, especially when we do a swag pack, that goes in there, so they're always happy about that. But and I did want to remind folks, if you're in the Tampa Bay area, tomorrow night we're having we normally don't have a December meeting. We usually have a December cookout on the beach. We have a barbecue and seated hunt in December, so we normally don't have a December meeting. However, Fort Desoto Park has been shut down due to the hurricane, and we've got our hunt rescheduled to January. So tomorrow night we'll have the meeting at Richard's Place at Cornucopia in Tampa. So you can look them up, WSAS.club, if you're in the Tampa Bay area and you're looking for a metal detecting club.
Even if you're not in the Tampa Bay area, find a club near you.
Yes, absolutely. Last month we talked about metal detecting clubs, and we've had several different clubs on here. So join a club. You'll learn a lot and meet some nice folks, and you'll learn the code of ethics. You'll learn all kinds of stuff. You'll even learn about coins and relics and shipwreck stuff, everything. Because I know Barry and Fred are in a nice club over there on the East Coast.
Yeah, they are. And they're integral members of that club, as they're they are an integral member of the Treasure Talk family, as many of our audience is. And just to kind of go over what we've got for the rest of the year, next week is the 23rd, and we are going to have Nick West from the UK, and he is an expert on ancient militaria. So that's going to be a really good show. He's going to have some pictures to show, and you got any questions about ancient militaria, he's the man. And then on the 30th, it's going to be me and Phil, Jocelyn, Big Poppy, Terry and Fred. We're going to have a year-end recap of everything that's gone on in the year, kind of what we got in store next year. And it should be a fun show. And yes, we probably will give away at minimum one Zazich.
Yes, I think I might have one here.
Yeah, got it. Hey, that's it. And it's decorated by
That's artwork.
you know, here's the thing. Big Poppy tried to cut off one of his ears, you know, so he, as an artist, and you had to stop him, didn't you, Phil?
Yes, I did for sure. But he liked to decorate the sausage, so.
That's right. Well, we need to quit yammering. Let's get these
Yes, we
guys.
do. Let's bring in our guests, because these guys are very famous and know a lot about treasure. So
That's right. So you've seen a couple of them before. And many of you, it will be your first visit with Melvin Fisher, who is the grandson of Mel Fisher. And we're coming at you live from the Mel Fisher Museum down in Sebastian. And I tell you what, they've got a new display down there that they're going to show you and talk about. We're going to talk all about the museum and everything, but you're going to love it. And if you got any kind of trips planned, make sure you hit that. So let's bring them all on. There's three. There's our very good friend Terry Shannon, our very good friend Fred Banky, who are both members of the Treasure Talk family, and Melvin Fisher from the Mel Fisher Museum in Sebastian. Let's bring them all on, and we're going to have a good time.
absolutely.
Hello, fellas.
Hi, everybody.
How's it going?
Good, good, good.
So, guys, you're in Sebastian, and you're in the Mel Fisher Museum, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're in the movie room.
In the movie room.
Downtown Sebastian.
So when you're in the museum there in the movie room, you guys are playing films of divers out there recovering treasure.
Yeah, so when you come into the museum, you pay for your admission, and first thing you do is go into the movie room and watch about a 20-minute introduction film. And it's kind of a mashup of my grandpa's old films and some National Geographic documentaries and old footage of treasure hunting that tells the story of Mel Fisher and his search on the 1715 fleet and the Atocha down in Key West.
Sweet.
We had a comment there, Phil. Do you see that one?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Digging Canuck. Liz says that's a handsome panel.
Thank you, Liz. Thanks, Liz.
Talking about you three guys.
You know, we're sitting in, just a tremendous amount of history here. We knew they weren't talking about you two.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Why do you think I got my hat down like this? Scare people away.
You guys are funny. So, Mel, it's Melvin, right? Not Mel.
Yeah, Melvin's fine.
Mel. So tell the folks here how long you've been involved in treasure hunting. Because I think this is your first time on, right?
Yeah, this is my first time on Treasure Talk. And I've been scuba diving since I was 11 years old. At the end of a school year, my parents took me out for the last 3 weeks and brought me to the Bahamas. And we spent a couple weeks diving on a bunch of cannon out there and trying to figure out where the treasure was. But things were tough, and the Bahamian government changed at that time and couldn't quite secure a contract to bring anything up. So we left the site as it was, and I came home and got scuba certified the next summer and started diving ever since.
Okay. Did you work on, I guess you guys are still actively working the Atocha site. Did you work down there on that site?
I've dove on the Atocha, yeah. And man, I've dove on the 1715 fleet as well. And for the last 50 years or so, my family's kept the Atocha site active. And right now we got 2 90-foot salvage boats that are ready to go and find some more treasure.
Well, they're still finding stuff, aren't they, Mel?
Yeah, there's an estimated 250 million bucks on the Atocha and about another 250 million on the Santa Margarita sister ship, which is just a few miles away.
Hey, well, they keep them active for a good while, and as now pretty soon you're kind of the head of the family now, I think. So you can keep it going.
Yeah, I like to think that too, but now my uncle is still in charge, and my mom, she's still very active in the business, and the whole Key West operations run by our vice president and director of operations, Gary Randolph. He oversees all the salvage operations.
Well, they just when they have problems, they go to you.
So your uncle is Kim, right?
Sorry?
Your uncle is Kim Fisher?
Yeah, that's my uncle.
Okay. All right, cool. We had him on here before. Yeah. He knows a lot about treasure too. So we're glad you're on here with us. And folks, if you don't know, you can type questions in the comments and Jocelyn or Jeff will hit them. I usually don't get them on there, that I just read them, because if I start pushing buttons, I'll
He
soon
goes away. We seldom let Phil push any buttons.
don't let me push any buttons because I'll be gone. So just type your questions in there. And I guess you guys are going to show us around the museum, or what are we doing?
It's up to you guys.
We can do that.
No,
Whatever. We're gonna leave it all up to y'all, because
Yeah.
y'all are the all-stars. And I know that when you get to it, that little thing we talked about earlier is gonna light up. I'm telling you.
Sure. Do Walker?
Yeah.
So bear with us as they carry the camera through the museum. You're going to get to see a bunch of stuff. And trust me, this is a place that you definitely want to go. I mean, it is just, it's unbelievable. Both museums, the one in Key West is off the charts, and so is this one. I mean, it's unbelievable. If you've got any kind of treasure hunting in your blood, you definitely want to go to these museums. And now they've got something that they're going to go over with us. And
so this is a 9-foot long, 3,000 pound bronze cannon. It was one of 20 that was loaded aboard the Atocha, and it probably fired twice the distance of one of the iron cannons on board, which made the Spanish galleon so defensible and really desirable to have these big guns on board. We're still missing about 10 of them, valued at $1 million a piece.
Now, Mel, did the Spanish salvage those sites of the Atocha also? So could they have gotten some of the cannons, or are the cannons still there?
Well, we know they salvaged some of the Santa Margarita's cannons from historical records that we've obtained and other documents that exist and have been translated since the 1980s. But from the historical records and what we've recovered ourselves, we can estimate what's left out there.
Okay. And how much did you estimate is still left out there?
10 bronze cannons, 160 silver bars, at least on one of the wrecks, 80,000 silver coins. On the other one, there's another 200 silver bars and 50,000 silver coins. And the main pile of the Atocha was 40 tons of silver, copper, and gold in one big, long pile. Roughly 180,000 coins, all in one pile.
Jeez. Now, how did they recover that? How did the Spanish get down to that? Because, I mean, it's like in 90 feet, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the main portion of the wreck was in about 60 feet of water, and they used smaller vessels that they would drag grapnel anchors and try and find it in the sand.
Oh, okay.
They found the Santa Margarita. It was only in about 30 feet of water. Part of the boat was still sticking up, but the hatches were sealed, so they weren't able to get down into the main treasure storage areas. But they would use slave divers, natives from Venezuela and Colombia, that would dive for pearls in those areas. They would send them down, and they would take a deep breath out of a dive bell, which is like a big bell submerged underwater.
You can see one right underneath that.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm pointing exactly at it, but there's an example of a dive bell. And they would take a breath, and they would try to dive down into the wreck and grab anything they could and then swim to the surface with it.
Okay, interesting. Hey, we did have a question from Tom Becker, Mel, and he's asking, what's your best find?
Oh, not to be cheesy, probably a little tiny half real beach detecting. Other than that, I found all kinds of pottery and a couple musket balls, but nothing gold yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you're still young.
Yeah, and it took my grandfather 16 years to find the big pile, so.
Yeah, so you can get out there and get it. Jeff and I both haven't found a gold coin yet, so
No,
we're always saying today's the day.
That's right. Today's the day. You never know when you're going to find it.
Yes, for sure.
But along with the gold and silver coins, they found all kind of religious pieces, a communion set, and a cross with the bishop's initials engraved on it.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, rosary pieces with coral beads and solid gold plates and spoons. They talk about you being born with a silver spoon, but these people were born with a golden spoon.
Yeah, that's right. They knew how to do it upright, didn't they, Mel?
Yeah.
Don't show this.
Yeah. So this is just a kind of a depiction of how the Spanish fleets would travel. One fleet would travel from the west coast of Mexico over to in the Philippines, which was actually named for King Philip II. They would get all the spices and porcelain and really intricate gold chains and beads and necklaces, load them onto Spanish galleons, bring them over to the west coast of Mexico, where they would be loaded onto a mule train, carried across land to the east coast in Veracruz, loaded onto another Spanish galleon and brought down to Havana, where they would meet up with a separate fleet that had gone to Cartagena and Panama to collect the South American goods from Lima and Potosi, all the silver, where their main silver mines and foundries were. And they would, the second fleet would leave Panama and meet the first fleet in Havana, and they'd all rally up together as one big fleet for protection and try to make it back to Spain, right up the Florida Straits.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Cool. We got a couple of questions here we need to get answered. What are the rules for finding items like that from 513 Digs?
Finding it, where are they finding it? If they're finding it in international waters, it's a tricky question. If they're finding it on the beach, as long as they're above the mean high tide line, it's finders keepers.
I'm always amazed at that the state of Florida hasn't say no, it's ours. But yes, I guess it's finders keepers then. And yeah, we are having a bunch of questions going through there, and this is a very interesting question. And this is from Big Mouth TV samples. Can you purchase silver and gold coins from the museum?
Yeah, you can. We sell all kinds of authentic coins from the Atocha and the 1715 fleet. Silver and gold. They start as low as a couple $100 and go as high as you want to spend.
And Mel, do they come with the certificate of authenticity?
Yeah, every piece that we find goes through a conservation process and is cleaned up through something like this, where we put it in a tank and kind of hook it up to a battery charger that's running in reverse and pull all the salts out of the item and clean it up really nice, kind of like this one here. The silver one shines up really nice. And they all come with certificates of authenticity stating that they were legally adjudicated. The title of them belongs to a private company and they were salvaged legitimately.
Cool. It looks like we got another comment here from Fortnite Kid 2017. Yes, they have authentic coins from the wrecks at the gift shop. I bought several and I love them. Yeah, so if you wanted a piece of Florida treasure history, Spanish history, you could get that at the museum. That is really cool that you can do that.
So this is an invention my grandfather made called the mailbox. It's a big metal tube that gets pinned in place over the propellers, and it sends a stream of water down to the bottom and slowly, gently dusts away the sand. And at the bottom of that little excavated hole is where all the heavy metal sits, the silver and the gold and pottery shards.
Very interesting for sure. And this question is one I like, Jeff, from Florida Metal Detecting. Mel, what is the most expensive item in the museum?
Oh man, that's a great question. We've got a 5-pound gold bar that folks can come in and lift, and we'll get over to that at the very end. It's kind of the last display piece you could see. And I don't really want to put a value on it, but I'd say that's the most expensive item.
Well, actually, the most expensive thing in the museum is when you take Terry and Fred to dinner, right?
No, it's all the rum you drink after, actually.
Yeah.
Right, there you go.
Let's put it this way. They don't like a bucket of chicken.
Hey, lobster dinner sounds great to me.
I knew it would.
So, Mel, what about the coins? You have gold coins in there that the museum is selling?
Yeah, so we have some from the 1715 fleet and some from the Santa Margarita. I don't have any out right now to show you other than these recent recoveries, which came from the 2015 find they call the Tricentennial find, which was the 300th anniversary of the fleet sinking.
And I was on the beach when they found them.
Oh, really? Right
Yeah,
on the
I've
Turtle Trail?
I've got pictures of them bringing them ashore and bringing them onto the boat.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, they found 300 gold coins, a few of which were royals. They were perfect specimens and fully dated. They were presentation pieces meant for the next die strikers or die engravers to present to the King of Spain.
Now, this is an interesting question here from Robert Dix. He said, do they authenticate finds found on the beaches of the Treasure Coast?
Well, I could take a look at it and tell you my best opinion if I think it's from that time period or not. But no, we won't create a certificate of authenticity for anything that we didn't personally find.
right. So you got to be careful when you buy stuff. If you buy it from the museum, you'll get the Mel Fisher certificate of authenticity. So
yeah, just to touch on that briefly, I would say if you're ever buying treasure and you're spending more than you're willing to lose, definitely make sure it's got the proper provenance, and certificate of authenticities are really important.
yeah, because we had Sid and KT on last week, and they were talking about people who bought coins with the certificate of authenticity and then lost that. And then it's just worth the gold or the silver value.
And that's a story that's all too common, unfortunately. But, you know, people are people and humans make mistakes. And that's a big database of information. And it's not always easy to track down treasure, unfortunately.
Right. Sure.
Now, this, everybody pay close attention to this. This is outstanding what Mel is going to go over now. It's a new feature at the museum, and this is killer. So take it away, Mel.
So this is our new interactive exhibit. We could dive at either the 1622 fleet's wreck site or the 1715 fleet, which we're at up here in Vero Beach. Two Spanish treasure fleets that wrecked about 100 years apart. And so from the known galleons, we could just pick one of the wreck sites to dive at. I'll show you how we dive in. You get an idea of the metal detector going across the screen, and you can even swipe across and look for treasure yourself. And we'll give it a second here to load. We'll do it ourselves and show you what we find. So you got to listen for the beep. All right, we found something. Let's see what we got. Oh, there's one of those royals I was telling you about.
Now, Mel, what do you value that one of those royals for? I've heard a lot of crazy numbers. What do you think or do you know that anybody who's bought one of those, what they paid for them?
Personally, I think they're priceless, but one of the ones that recently sold at auction went for $400,000.
That's pretty impressive for a coin. And I know it probably hasn't happened, but you have, if you're hunting on the Treasure Coast, you have the possibility of finding one of those.
Yeah, I forget the gentleman's name, but there was a guy who found a royal right at the same area the 300 coins were found in 2015 in the 80s. and I think it was a 1712 fully dated royal from Mexico.
And those coins were minted for the king, right? Is that why they're called royals?
They were considered presentation pieces to be approved for the next die engraver. So this is what people commonly refer to as the Queen's jewels. Me, myself, I'm not entirely sold. I think there's bigger, better jewelry pieces out there. We call it the Venera jewelry set, and it had over 437 diamonds on it, 2 dangling earrings with 3 pieces, and a brooch and a chest pin.
Interesting. And we have this question from JPB Hobbyist. Do you have a book about each shipwreck and have pictures of the things found in it?
There's been dozens of books written about the shipwrecks, both the 1715 fleet and the Atocha. I know Fred has written a couple books about detecting on the beach. I don't know if he's got anything specific to each wreck site.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the information on the shipwrecks and what sites and locations and stuff in the book.
Yeah, I've got those books here in the shop, and they're very popular, both Terry's and Fred's book. But you guys have that table book. I guess that's from the Atocha. That's a good
one written by Pat Klein called the Atocha Odyssey. It's got a lot of really good photos, and it's I consider it a coffee table book. A lot of high resolution photos.
Did you ever get your case of those, Phil?
No, I didn't get a case of those. I wanted those. You guys were doing those for charity, I believe.
And he asked Nicole to send him a case to sell in the shop.
Yeah,
Did you do that?
I don't know. I don't remember right now, but if you send me an email about it, I'll get you a case sent out this week.
Yeah, and if we can do PayPal, it's just easier for me, or electronic transfer, whatever you want to do.
No problem. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, those are that book, because I had gotten one, and I just was amazed by the photography and the stuff in it. It's very, very interesting book for sure. For anybody
diving now.
Yeah. So Pat Klein was one of the photographers for many years, and he was a vice president of the company. He did all kinds of stuff for my grandfather, aerial surveys in a plane and mapping the wreck site underwater and laying out underwater archaeological grids. He even went to France to challenge the UNESCO ruling when they were working on the underwater cultural heritage decisions. And it's all his photos in the book. But this is what a silver coin looks like when we find it. It's usually all encrusted, and the salt water really corrodes it. We have to conserve them and clean them up. Just like I was telling you before, we run an electrolytic current through it in a special solution, and varies from coin to coin, but typically a couple days we'll clean it up nice and shiny, and you can see all the markings and tell which mint they were struck at if they're not too badly corroded.
That is cool. That is a very cool display.
Very neat.
I imagine the kids absolutely love it, and the adults may not admit it, but I bet you they do as well.
I think all kinds of people are going to enjoy it.
I do too. Yeah.
That looks like a silver bar there.
Yeah, so this one's a 87 pounder, and it's got all kinds of markings on it. It's about the size of a loaf of bread, and some of the markings we know refer to the purity. It's 3,380 out of 3,380 out of 3,400 parts silver, so 99.9% pure silver. And it came from Potosi, Bolivia, modern day Bolivia, but back then it was all considered Peru. The bite on the end was for the guy who tested the purity. It's called the assayer's bite. There's a couple markings to refer to the people who was shipping it and the people who owned it. And there's a V for Jacob de Vrederer, who's the silver master of the time for the 1622 fleet. The Spanish were really meticulous record keepers, but they had 901 bars listed on the Atocha Manifest, and something like 938 of them recovered so far. So we know they were smuggling some too.
Yeah, they were probably smuggling. Didn't want to pay the tax man.
It's just like today,
Yeah, no different for sure.
I
but
got
it's
a
not all
question
silver
from
and gold. Yep,
Ricky
question.
T. Were the silver bars poured in a sand mold?
That's a great question. No, I think they were made in a foundry, and you could tell by some of the markings on them that compared to the copper ingots, which were poured into like a wet sand mold, they're much flatter and really rough with no visible markings. But no, the silver bars were refined in a foundry.
Very cool.
But other than the silver and gold, we find all kinds of items that would be required for a month or two long voyage across the ocean, medical tools and repair tools. They even found a clump of sewing needles and all kinds of silverware, candlesticks, nail files.
Look at all that stuff.
Just
I
like
mean,
your household
People,
item.
when you go to that museum and you can stand there for as long as you want, as long as the museum is open, and look at that stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff, you're liable to miss something, but it's amazing that some of this stuff survived.
It is amazing.
Gold toothpicks, right? No?
Terry, do you want to show them the olive jars? These are,
This is an olive jar neck right there. I was metal detecting on the beach and Fred walked up to me and he got about 5 or 6 feet away and bent down and said, "Are you blind?" and picked up one of these olive jar nuts. You know, and I've yet to forgive him.
Terry will never forgive me.
Oh, goodness. We've heard this story before, my friends.
Yeah, I know.
Bad story.
It's sad. He never lets me live that one down.
For sure.
Yeah, at the Atocha site, we've got an area we called Emerald City because when we go out there, we find all kinds of these dark green emeralds, and they come from the Muzo mine in Colombia, which is today like the world standard for high quality dark green emeralds. And when Mel was getting all this research done by Dr. Eugene Lyon, he came across a court-martial record that one of the guys who survived the shipwreck in 1622 made it back to Spain, and he was being prosecuted for smuggling some gold. And he said, "Why are you prosecuting me when I just helped the admiral smuggle 60 pounds of emeralds on the 1622 fleet?" So we believe there's about 60 pounds out there, and we've recovered a little over 4 pounds so far. And boy, I'm just excited to see these guys go out there and find some more.
Well, they're probably all over the place, aren't they, Mel?
Yeah, and it's tough to find. You know, there's no metal detector for emeralds, at least not yet.
Well, some of them would be so light, you know, when the ship wrecked with all the turbulence and the current, who knows where they could have gone to.
Yeah, definitely. We kind of believe that the 4 pounds we found so far are probably from one small sack and a bigger barrel or basket or chest of emeralds.
Well, that's something you guys do on the down in Key West, isn't it? Take people out emerald hunting?
Yeah, so our investors are able to go out to the wreck site, and if they're divers, they can dive in and see how the operation works. And if they're not divers, they can sit up top and sift for emeralds.
Very cool. You see your question there, Phil?
Another question here from Dirty Paul's Detecting. And it's how long did it take you guys to get all those items ready for display?
Oh man, we're constantly updating our displays, and anytime there's something new or interesting, or even from the archives, if we find something that's been out of display for so long, and we just want to rotate out our displays. But this museum opened in 1992, and it's changed a bundle since they opened. 1996 and 1997 were great years of recovery, and all the way up until 2011, my family owned the wreck site. So we were getting a lot of artifacts in, and we had an active conservation lab in the back that we cleaned all the artifacts that were recovered and turned in by subcontractors here. But man, it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, it looks very interesting. And we do have a comment. This one we didn't post. It's not a question, but it's a comment. And I kind of like this point from JBP Hobbyist. She says, I used to hate history till I started metal detecting. Now I love when I pull out a piece of history out of the ground. And you guys are doing just that, digging up pieces of history that's on the bottom of the seafloor. And that's pretty impressive stuff there.
Yeah,
Now-
not every day we find treasure. You know, we find a lot of junk and modern junk and trash and bombs that if you ever look at a modern map of the Florida Keys, you'll see an area that pretty much aligns with the Santa Margarita shipwreck. It's a modern bombing range from the 1950s forward, and we find all kinds of bombs and blown up ordnance out there.
Dang. Well, we got a question from Fortnite Kid 2017. He says, "Do you sell emeralds at the museum as well?"
Yeah, we do. We got about a dozen in stock right now in our museum here in Sebastian, and plenty online. I think one of the more valuable ones online is about $1 million right now.
Holy cow. That's nice. How about the average one you come in the museum? How much does the average one cost?
They're probably in the $4,000 to $5,000 range.
$4,000 to $5,000. And they would get a certificate of authenticity with that too, right?
Yeah, I could show you what that looks like.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I'm going to give you my Christmas list, Jeff.
Okay, I'll pass it on to Jocelyn and Big Poppy.
There
Because
you
you're
go.
probably going to get us each.
Good.
Oh yeah,
We'll do that.
So this is an example of what one of the certificates will look like. Sometimes they have a representative photo of what the artifact is, but with the high value ones, we have a photo of the artifact itself with a measurement, carat weight, and a class factor that tells you how the quality of this emerald is compared to the other ones we've found.
Okay.
It'll either be signed by Mel Fisher or my uncle Kim Fisher or my mom Taffy Fisher Apt. It'll have our company name at the top, either Motivation Inc. or Treasure Salvers Inc. Or today Mel Fisher's Treasures. And it'll say somewhere in the certificate, it's typically a full-size page document, not a little quarter sheet, that this item was legally salvaged and it has been legally adjudicated with a federal judge. So there's no question about, did this come from a wreck? It is 100% a legitimate artifact.
That's cool.
That makes the value of it right there.
Big
It
time.
does, for sure. Hey, now this is one of my favorite questions from the Mumbles man, Mr. Tim Naylor. What's the most unusual find from the wreck site?
Well, there's a couple really interesting ones. One really cool one was a solid silver bell. So most of the bells back then were made out of copper, brass, and they're hard enough that you could ring. You find them with the clackers sometimes still in them. But the silver bell was full size and had no markings on it, and is probably an attempt to smuggle the silver back and not pay tax on it.
Interesting.
This is the gold bar.
Yeah, here's a gold bar. I can move it around. I can't tip it, you know.
He can. You're supposed to lift it, not try to get it out of there.
You're supposed to-
What did you expect, Fred? That's Terry.
I'm 83 years old and I can lift gold.
Nice to know. I went to the Mel Fisher Museum in Key West with Jocelyn years ago, and they have something very similar to that. And they give you a sticker that said, "I lifted a gold bar at Mel Fisher's museum."
Yeah, we used to love that display. I used to love going into that museum as a kid. So this is another really interesting artifact. It's a bezoar stone. It's a gall stone from a llama or a goat, and it would alert. They would put this stone inside of a cup designated for a member of royalty, and it would alert the drinker to the fact that someone was trying to poison them. So they call it the poison cup. Solid gold and really ornate designs on it.
That's interesting. I never heard that before.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for sure.
And this is one of my favorites. It's called a tupu or topo, and it was for a woman or a high-level priest in South American culture, native culture, mainly in Peru. It would be worn as a cloak pin, kind of a decorative piece, And for the Spanish, it was like heresy to be bringing back native artifacts. You know, everything they found and looted, they would melt down and turn into coins and bars and chains to ship back to Spain. So some Spaniard risked his life and his livelihood to steal this and smuggle it on board the ship, and then it wrecked in a hurricane, and 400 years later we found it.
That's cool. That is outstanding.
That's karma.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
We can go back to wherever you guys want.
Okay, we'll go back in the upper room, I think.
And Ricky T's commented that the Gold Bar in Key West was stolen, if he remembered. Is that right, Mel?
The one in the Key West Museum, yeah, it was stolen, and about 7 years after it was stolen, they got a 2 inches of it back from the guys that stole it.
That was stupid of them
To cut it. Yeah.
Well, you know, it goes
to give it back.
the certificates of authenticity are so important. Without the certificates, it's pretty much just worth melt value.
Right.
It's not really the piece of history anymore.
Yes. Since it was stolen. Yes. Very interesting.
So that museum. I mean, it is just outstanding. And with that new, and one of the things that I like best about the museum, and I don't know if you've been to this one, Phil.
No, I went to the one in the Keys.
Was when you go into the movie room and you watch the movie of how it all transpired. I mean, that's pretty cool. And now that you've added that interactive display, that's off the charts.
Thanks.
That is off the charts.
I've been down here several times, Fred has also, and the Fishers are just good people, real good people. You know, and I'm honored to call them friends.
So am I. So am I.
Me too, for both of you guys.
Yeah, it's I think last year, we've got the best of all worlds, Phil. Last year we had Nicole, and now we've got Melvin. It don't get no better. The only way it could get better is if Mel was still with us and would come on. And he would have come on if he would still be here.
Oh, I'm sure he would. He loved talking about treasure.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So I mean, it's just an amazing place. Anybody that's done any kind of treasure hunting, just like JBP alluded to, she hated history until you find some, and then all of a sudden you're a history buff.
Yes. Then you're researching and doing all sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And, not like Mel's family, what they did to find the Atocha, but you're a local. You become a local historical expert for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look at everything that Terry and Fred have done and the books that they have written, and we want to, tell you right now, Terry's got a new book out, and he'll talk a little bit about that, and so will Fred, and soon to be in the shop for those that would like to get them. So, Terry, tell us about your new book.
Well, I wrote a book on my law enforcement career. And of course, I took off today and forgot it. So I don't have one to show. But I was in law enforcement. That was my life's work. And I think it's probably the best book I've ever written. And I really enjoy it. And if you're going to give away, if we're going to give away books as free gifts today, if anybody wants that book, they have the choice of what book they want.
That would be a good one. That is a great one.
Absolutely. And you guys will sign them too, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a big thing. Right now, the books are selling really good. It's Christmas time.
Yeah, Christmas. I got a couple orders here on PayPal tonight. So, yes, now's the time for sure. Excellent Christmas or stocking stuffer.
Yeah, what better gift for Christmas than a book from Fred and Terry, right?
There you go. or an emerald from the Fisher Museum. That'd be a better.
I like where your head's at. Although I've read a bunch of the stories in Terry's book, and man, they got me rolling. They're really funny. A couple of them.
Yeah. He's one thing about Terry. He's always got a story. We've got a question from the Fortnite Kid. and he wants to know about where he can buy the books. Well, Phil will have them in the shop in a few days.
Yeah.
And Terry, where can they get it from you or on Amazon or and the same thing with Fred's new book, right? So let us know about that.
Yeah, on my book, the new book now, I'm having trouble online as far as getting it posted. It's on my site, but I see there was one site that are selling them for like $29, and they're $20 is what they are. And so if anybody wants one, they can contact me or Amazon. It just look for the $20 one. Don't go spending $30 on a book that I don't even know if you're going to get it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fred?
we'll send them shortly too, and you guys just sign the books before you send them to them because the customers always love it that you've autographed it.
We both signed them.
Yeah, we'll do that. So
Absolutely.
is about I went on the trip of a lifetime last year, this year rather, and I followed the Nez Perce Indian Trail. And this book is all about the history of the Nez Perce Indians and how they got attacked by the army several times on their journey. It was 1,100 and I think it was 1,170 miles they traveled over 5 months, and they were attacked and followed by the military, and they ended up in a battle, and they surrendered 40 miles from the Canadian border, and they were heading up into Canada to be with Sitting Bull. This was a year after Little Bighorn. This is 1877. This happened.
Very cool. Very cool. We're going to give away a couple of books tonight. And so Terry's going to give one away, and so is Fred of the new books or whichever book of theirs that you so desire. So this is how you enter in the chat. Put it in exactly as I have it. And we will get a drawing going here in just a little while. We did have a question. Mel, when are you going to write a book about your adventures?
I got to find a lot more treasure first. I've got a couple little reports in the works and stuff I've researched and digitized here, but I'm a long ways off from publishing anything.
Okay. Well, we just wanted to, that'd be a, writing a book about what it's like to grow up in what you've grown up with the treasure and being the curator and the manager of the museum. That would be an interesting read in itself.
I appreciate that. I find it interesting, but a lot of people find working in a museum pretty boring, even if it's a treasure museum.
Well, it's certain. I tell you what, it would make it worth it. Just the seeing the people's awestruck features as they look at some of this stuff. That's got to make it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be worth it to me just to see the people go, oh my God, look at this, that would be.
I was one of those people who was not, I thought history was stupid when I was in high school. I mean, you got to worry about their future. You don't care what these old people did. And now, I mean, history is so important. And I really love it. I used to tell everybody that if you want the history of your town or your area, go to talk to the oldest person there. And all of a sudden, I'm that old guy. That's kind of sad.
And, and a lot of towns have a historical museum. Like here, I just recently moved here to Thomasville, Georgia. I have not had an opportunity yet to go down to the museum, but they have a very nice historical museum, and there's going to be a lot of good stuff in it because, Thomasville was, there's Civil War stuff and old Annabella Mansion still standing and all kinds of stuff. So, that may be a show coming up. Okay, we got a question here. It says, one more question for Mel. What was it like doing the show Beyond the Curse of Oak Island?
Those guys were really awesome to work with, and never in my life did I imagine I'd be on the History Channel. But it's definitely a unique experience, and they were really professional and super nice and down-to-earth people. And I'm happy we were able to find some treasure. They actually told us we were the first treasure they ever found on their show.
That's cool. Well, Philip, you want to give away some books, buddy?
Let's do it. And then I saw a question that zipped by us, but I want to comment on it.
Okay, let's give away a book. We're going to do 2 names. So, Philip Faircloth, you are the winner of Terry's book. And let's go and do again for Fred's book.
And if it lands on Philip, we'll have to draw somebody else. We want
Yeah, well, it won't because it rules him out now.
Oh,
Prospecting Mules. So that is great. Philip Faircloth, who has won many times before, and Prospecting Mules, congratulations. Let me get rid of that. And let's pop up here. You send your name, address, and phone number, and the book that you want of Terry's or Fred's. Richard, you send the one you want of Terry's. Prospecting Mules, you send the one that you want of Fred's. You send an email, name, address, phone number, treasuretalkshow@gmail.com. I will get that to them, and they will get your book out to you. And congratulations, y'all are in for a treat.
absolutely, they are. And
we'll look for in the next couple of days. As soon as we get the address, we'll get it.
Yep. The sooner they get it in, the quicker I get it. And I tell you one thing that about Terry and Fred. As soon as I get the names, I shoot it off to them, and they get the books in the mail. They don't procrastinate. You get your book, toot sweet. I mean, that says something about those two. Their character. When they say they're going to do something, they do it, and they do it in a splendid fashion. And it's an autographed copy. Now those are going to be collector's items. So hang on to them and put them in your will for your kids, because that's something they'll want. Trust me.
I don't think people realize that the next time I'm on your show, I may be rich. It's just the time when I'm going to get over that.
That's good.
That's true.
Right.
You may be.
But this question is from Robert Dix. Before we do the one that's on the screen, what is the best recommendation for a book on the site locations of the 1715 fleet? And I can say Terry and Fred have written some cool books. These are just a few of them on the 1715 fleet. So those I have in the shop. And then Fortnite Kid 217 says, will you please share the links where we can purchase Fred and Terry's books? And I've got them here at shop. You can call me tomorrow and we get it shipped out, and you can get one of the coveted towels. You got that handy, Jeff?
I do.
We'll throw that in the envelope with it. I use that sometimes for padding.
See?
So just remind me you want one of the coveted treasure hunting towels, and we'll throw it in the.
That's right. So Phil's got them in stock.
And you might even get a calendar too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
2025. It's going to be an awesome year for treasure hunting.
It is indeed. It is indeed. It's going to be an awesome year in the shop, because a lot of new stuff coming, and with these 2 books that you're going to have in stock, and once when Melvin sends his that coffee table book, I tell you what, that is a beautiful, beautiful.
That is a beautiful book. That's like one of my favorite books.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy good.
Yeah, and I'm just reading all the comments, and Ricky T likes that Myers loincloth.
Yeah, well, he would. But here's the problem with that though. If Rick gets 2 of them, he will wear them to the beach.
Oh no.
He will. I promise you, he will. He will.
And here's another question.
Say about that coffee table book.
So when Pat Klein passed back in 2020, he donated his whole stock of the Atocha Odyssey books to our charitable foundation, the Michael Lab Jr. Have a Heart Foundation. And all the proceeds from that book, the book sales for that book, go to the Have a Heart Fund to help screen kids' hearts with EKGs and put defibrillators in schools or areas where youth congregate. We actually just donated our 100th this year, 100th AED. And every summer, it seems like we're catching more kids preemptively getting their heart screened and having a fatal heart flaw. And they're able to get a corrective surgery, a simple surgery, and potentially save their lives.
And that's very cool. That is outstanding. So when Phil gets the books in, we will let you know. He's going to contact Mel tomorrow.
Yeah,
and he'll have those in, and that is definitely one that you will want. Now Rick T said it takes 4 or 5 coveted towels for him to wear them, and I'd go along with that.
Right. All right. Well, we had a couple questions go through real quick, but this one is from Big Mouth TV Samples, and it's asking Mel, do you still celebrate the Mel Fisher Days?
Every year. This past year was our first year having it in Sebastian, and it was a huge success for our little town. We raised over $20,000, $10,000 for 2 different charities, and it was a big success. We're gonna hopefully do it again here in Sebastian in July, and raise some more money for charity and celebrate Mel Fisher and his legacy.
And
That sounds like a show to me.
Yeah, for sure. That's an awesome idea. Hey, we did have another question. And Mel, what detector were you using when you dived? Aquatech?
Aquapulse 1B.
Aquapulse 1B. Okay. And Terry and Fred, the people want to know what detectors you guys are using now.
I use the Note to Legend and the Manticore.
I'm using the Nokia Legend and the Deus 2.
Awesome. Excellent choices for detectors for sure. And I guess this is Fortnite Kid 2017. Can I just make a donation to the Heart Foundation? I would like to support that. I'll get a book from Phil when he gets them in too. Well, thank you. That's an excellent idea to make the donation.
Yes, it is.
I guess, Mel, if you would put your charitable name and address on, I guess, where can we put that? On Facebook?
Yeah, you send it to me in an email and I'll get it up.
We'll post it. Yeah, because people love to support good charities for sure.
Well, we appreciate that. We'll put the money to good use.
Well, you know what, Philip? Our hour's gone, son.
Just look at that. It's gone. Well, let me be real brief then. Terry, Fred, and Mel, thank you guys for coming on here and just departing your wisdom to our many members that we have on YouTube and Facebook. So thank you guys. And thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jocelyn, for feeding me the questions. And I thank all of our many members. And if you still want something for Christmas, you can still get it. Just call me tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. And Mel, we just can't thank you enough. What you've done with the museum, what your family has done is just beyond stupendous. Anybody that has any inkling about any kind of treasure hunting, definitely this has got to be on your bucket list. I mean, it's unbelievable, unbelievable. And
well, thank you, Phil. And if you guys stop in, just ask to see if I'm here. I'd love to come down and talk to anybody who wants to talk.
You betcha. We'll be down there. I'm trying to get a little trip planned, but you know how that goes. We'll have to see. But I'm waiting for Terry and Fred to tell me the detecting's good down there. So,
but I'd like to thank the people that have you in and Phil, and we really appreciate. It's an honor to be on your show.
It really is an honor, and I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas too.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas to all.
That is coming up. That is coming up, isn't it? So, Terry and Fred, we'll see you guys at the end of the year recap. Melvin, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy night. I know you've been there all day and you stayed some tonight strictly for us, and we really appreciate it. And I hope everybody out there comes down to the museum. Remember that interactive display they've got. You can tell everybody you dove 1715, you dove the Atocha. So it doesn't get any better than that. So guys, thanks so much. Terry, Fred, you're part of our family. Mel, we'd like to welcome you into the Treasure Talk family. We're honored to have you here. Everybody, we'll see you next week. Phil, I love you, brother. And everybody, just thank you for watching. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Dig deeper.
Take care. God bless.